Today, we're talking about NHL jersey ads. It's a new initiative for the 2022-23 season, and we're going to take a look at 10 teams who've released their jersey ad sponsors. I'm going to rank them from absolute worst to least worst. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Jerseys with Josh. This channel is all about things related to NHL game-worn jerseys. Please do hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. Let's dive into our topic for today. First, this Twitter post from DJ Bean made me laugh. I remember when I was a kid watching Hockey Night in Canada, and they were talking about sponsorships with teams, and one of the commentators said, like, yeah, watch out, someday it'll probably be the New Jersey Dirt Devils, and that kind of made me laugh, and I feel like we're coming back full circle. I read a blog post by Greg Wyshynski, and he did mention we've had the ads on helmets now. There's been always the jersey manufacturer name on them, although that's not really an ad to me. It's more like branding, but still, I get the point. We've seen the ads on helmets, as you can see here. We've had the manufacturer name on jerseys. As of right now, the NHL says that they only have plans for one ad. We're not on the way to looking like some of the European leagues. I mean, only time will tell, but I predict we're not going to quite get there, as you can see here. So let's kick this off. Who did it the best? Okay, so for me, any team that doesn't have a jersey ad is one that did it best. The Edmonton Oilers have come right out and said they are not going to have a jersey sponsor for this season, and I think that's a cool decision. I love the new classic look they're bringing back, and huge shout out to them for going their own way, making their own decision. But let's start ranking the ones that have announced they are going to have a jersey sponsorship. Again, we're going from absolute worst, in my opinion, to the least worst or least intrusive. And there are actually a couple categories once I started putting a lot of thought into how I might rank these and how they might look. So the first category is the color clashers. And this comes in last because what we're seeing in these ads are colors within the jersey ads that don't match the team's colors. And those to me I just don't love how they look. So let's start with the one that I think is the absolute worst. My least favorite is the Minnesota Wild. They've got Tria Orthopedics as their sponsor. And in my opinion, it's just too intrusive. Maybe if we had just a word mark, it would be a little bit less bad. But the logo with clashing colors and a word mark, it's too much for me. Definitely not my favorite. Coming in ninth place is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've got Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield as their sponsor. I'm not loving the color clash here. I do get that the Penguins have historically had a light blue color. Yes, that is a Pens color. It just looks odd to me. It's really large. You've got two logos and a word mark. Just not in love with this one for the Pittsburgh Penguins. If it were maybe just the Highmark word mark or just the Blue Cross Blue Shield, it might not be quite as intrusive, but this is a pretty big patch. All right, coming up next, we've got the Montreal Canadiens. They have RBC Bank as a sponsorship for this season for their jersey ads. And you can see on the patch, there's three colors, blue and white and gold. And I've ranked this one lower. It's a color clasher because the Montreal Canadiens don't have gold as a team color. They're white and red and blue. And so this one, it just doesn't match for me. I think it could have maybe been smaller or maybe just the RBC word mark. Not sure, but this one is low for me and it falls into the color clashers group. All right, the next category is the sports books. I'm not 100% sold on the idea of sports books as sponsors. It's not that I'm against gambling, although I will say the ads on TV during games for it have been absolutely incessant and they drive me crazy. I'm just not sure I'm in love with this idea, especially with where kids are watching and they love seeing their heroes play, and they're going to now be seeing yet another ad that promotes gambling. Let's talk about it. Let's look at the patches themselves. In seventh place, I have the Washington Capitals. They've got Caesars Sportsbook as their sponsor. The colors do match, so it blends pretty nicely. For me, it's a little bit wide. I think it comes out pretty far onto the chest towards the middle, and the logo that's on the left of the word mark makes it come out even further. All right, in sixth place, we have the Arizona Coyotes. They've got a casino and resort as their sponsor. It does match color wise. It looks like a really small patch. The fact that it's got sort of two layers of font, the bigger font, the smaller font, and a logo, and all of that, it's still pretty small. Not too bad overall. Of the three sports books, I think this one is not so bad. The fact that it's just a one color set of thread also helps it out a little bit. And in fifth place, we've got the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They've got Circa Sports. I think it actually blends pretty well color wise. I like that they've gone with the gray stone thread. It's not that noticeable, especially against that like metallic gold is really kind of a popping color. It catches your attention, and this kind of therefore blends in a little bit. I'll put it in the I think it looks fine category. As far as the sports books go, I think it's the least intrusive one. And the next category here are words and logos. So for me, when you're incorporating a word mark and a logo, it can start to get really busy. And that's why I've got these blends as the next category. So the Boston Bruins are an example of this word plus logo. It seems like a small patch from Rapid7. This is a company in cybersecurity. It does go along with the Bruins colors, and it's pretty narrow, but I have it here lower than the other team who's in this category purely because it's an original six team, and I just don't love seeing ads on original six team jerseys. All right, next up, we've got the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their sponsor is SafeLight. As far as the ad goes, it seems to be a pretty small font. Having the logo on top makes it just a little bit bigger than I'd like. Again, if it were just the word mark, wouldn't be quite as bad. The colors do seem to work with Columbus. It doesn't really like catch my attention as I look at this picture. So in this case, it's not the absolute least worst, but we're getting there. And that's what brings us to the last category. I think when teams have ads that are just word marks, they're a little bit less intrusive. And let me show you what I mean. In second place, we've got the Toronto Milk Leafs. Oh, sorry. I mean the Toronto Maple Leafs. The colors, at least they work. That's what has this higher than some of the others. I like that the colors match the Leafs colors. Again, it's a simple word mark. Don't get me wrong. This feels like something that just does not belong in an original six jersey. And that's why I have this as the runner-up to what I think is the least worst. So drum roll, please. The least worst one is the St. Louis Blues. They've got Stiefel as their sponsor. It's a historic company that has been in business for a long time in that area. The jersey mark is just a word mark only. It's one color, seems to blend in well enough, not super intrusive. I don't love that it's all caps. I think that brings some more attention to it, though, but that is their logo, so I can understand that. So as far as jersey ads go, this one I think is what I would call the least worst. All right, let's talk about all of this and what it may mean for the hobby of collecting game-worn jerseys. I personally don't think it's going to have a material impact on the values of jerseys. I think the stars are star players. They're still going to go for huge money. I don't think an Alex Ovechkin jersey is going to go for any less because it's got the Caesar Sportsbook ad on it. Still going to be a historic jersey from a player that is absolutely incredible. You also are going to have fans who want their favorite players' jerseys, regardless of whether or not there's an ad on it. I don't see the auctions getting any less hot when teams auction off their jerseys, and I know that they've been doing that more than ever. And I think, honestly, if anything, the market's going to continue to increase. Game-worn NHL jerseys are hot, and I think they're going to continue to be something that really demand high value. They're in demand from collectors, and that's where I don't think that jersey ads are going to really have a strong negative impact on the hobby. I think it'll be interesting. I think some collectors may refocus their collection on jerseys that were worn in the 2021-22 season and before that. And I think that's fine. That makes sense. They may just plain old not want to have a jersey that has an ad on it in their collection. Totally get it. The vintage market is really hot right now. I don't really see this helping or hurting that market. Maybe we'll see a bump in values because collectors are focusing more on jerseys that don't have ads. So you may see a little bit of a bump there. Only time is really going to tell we'll see kind of what happens in that regard. Okay, there you have it. I've ranked all 10 of the jersey ads that have been released by teams so far. What do you think about this move by the NHL? Is this going to hurt the game worn hobby? Is it going to help the hobby? What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, enjoy the hobby.